you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Well, Rob and Nick, I'm born in the 80s, and I may have, WWF'd, oh yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage my life away, to the point where when I saw the ads for your movie, I was like, are they imposing Macho Man Randy Savage in this? No, you all have a in person. What crazy people are on this show today? Rob and Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you
for having us.
And I
Great intro.
I mean that with the best, nicest, kindest intentions ever. Like, my kind of crazy is what you all are doing.
Well, we try to keep you guessing through the entire picture. Okay. I think that's the comment we get back was like, I thought I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't know anything.
Well, everyone watching right now, we're talking about something called Raging Midlife, which is on demand on the 14th of March and in select theaters. And it has the craziest cast with the craziest situation going on. It literally, I got this email about this and I immediately emailed back and said, I need to know everything about this immediately. So Nick and Rob, Nick, your job is, no offense, Rob. Rob only has one job on this and Nick has like 8. So Rob, do you have anything to say about why you're slacking about why does he have 4 jobs and Rob only has 1?
Are you talking about the production of Raging Midlife?
Wait, hold. I was gonna say, let me just say, I don't know what email you got, but Rob has more than just one job, and that job is looking good. And by the way, Rob, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
No, I'm just teasing, of course. Rob is the director of this, and then the film is written by Nick, and Nick's also a part of a producer and an actor in the movie. That's alluding and joking to. Rob, how did this project come to you?
Well, we wrote the original script back in 2003. Nick and I sat and hunkered down and scribbled out 3 screenplays that year when we were in our 20s, holding down jobs at a thrift store and a room service attendant. And we've been evolving the script ever since. And it's one of these writing situations where Nick is typing and I'm pacing back and forth, and we're just throwing ideas back and forth.
And him screaming at me going, no, Nick, make it funnier. Make it funnier.
If we both don't think it's funny, it doesn't go in the script. So that's kind of, we're keeping each other honest.
So how do you two know each other? Then your relationship goes back way further than just this project.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. No, literally. Whenever they ask me, so what's this movie about? And I tell them like, who's in it? I'm like, well, Paula Abdul, Eddie Griffin, Walter Koenig, me, and like all my friends from high school. And Rob is one of my very best, very dear friends. And we've been making movies since the late 90s.
Correct.
Rob, where did you all grow up? Where did you go to high school?
We went to Oregon City High School. Nicholas is class of 1999 and I'm class of 2000, so we were just a year apart. And I was making little videos in high school and Nick was like, who's this Rob guy and what are these videos? So we started chatting and then, started working together eventually.
You're a director, you've been working on films for these 20 plus years. Nick, you are a writer, you're an actor. Are you also really an attorney?
Yeah. Listen, Robert, somebody has to pay for these things, okay? They cost money.
I get that. That is a fact. That is true. I keep a day job just to pay for my artistic endeavors as well. I understand. So what is it like? Where did this idea come from? What is about wrestling? It's about finding an artifact. It's about Abraham Lincoln. It's about who, what, when, where. Tell me how this came about.
Rob, this was your brainchild, so I'll have you.
So it evolved in many different ways during these 20 odd years or 20 years that we were sitting on it. So I came to Nick and I'm like, look, I've got a 1-sentence idea. Let's roll with it. A couple of guys, they bid on something on eBay or whatever, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but they get outbid by some user, and whatever their username will be the name of the movie. Anyway, the movie is their quest to find this person that outbid them and retrieve this item that's rightfully theirs. So then we started brainstorming what the item would be.
And then someone came up with, how about the tank top that Kurt Russell wore in Big Trouble in Little China? And we were like, genius.
Well,
and then as we moved I don't know. I loved the idea. And I was like, and who doesn't know that movie? And apparently a lot of people, because our literary rep at the time was like shopping it around. Everyone's like, pretty cool indie idea, guys. Call us back when you've got something that's a little bit more inviting to the populace.
It was a good jumping off point for writing the script because we were movie nerds and we're like, let's write a script about movie nerds. So that made it easy to like come up with gags, and we basically wrote ourselves in the script. We made Nick the lead way back then. We made our friend Matt Zach, Mark way back then, and we made me Rob way back then. They got name changes. Mine didn't for some reason, but then all these years later, we're like, well, they're not community college students anymore. Let's just make them, desperate midlifers who are trying to recapture their youth. And, the script just got better over the years as we were tooling with it.
It sounds
fact,
perfect.
For a minute, and I don't think we've actually even shared this, but with anybody, but for a minute, actually, we were going after the cast, Kim Cattrall, the original cast from Big Trouble in Little China, before we started production on this. 2018. How many emails did I have with James Hong, who was like so...
He was trying to help you write his role or whatever.
Oh, he wanted to rewrite his role. It was actually, I was like, oh my God, this thing's going to happen. And I was like, finally, we had like Kim Cattrall on board. And then finally it was like the big fish was like Kurt Russell. And their people were like, nah, we're good. Like, okay, well, we got to rethink this thing. So, and I'm glad that we did, because when we decided on wrestling, it was like, oh, a light switch hit. It was just like,
yeah, that was Nick's brilliant idea. And I was like, perfect. I'm not the biggest wrestling fan, but I love 80s wrestling because it's so nostalgic for me. And everyone knows what wrestling is. Everyone has heard of Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and these guys. So the audience, whether you like it or not, you're going to know what it's about, and you're going to be able to connect with it in some way or another.
So it's brilliant. When I read that, I was hooked, because that brings me to my childhood, especially that 80s era. And like when I was looking at this picture, this is the picture I was talking about, where I was like, that is him. That's him. And that's like, it's amazing to me. The whole thing is amazing. So this cast, Rob, how does Paula Abdul and how does Eddie Griffin and how does Walt, like, how did you get this cast assembled? Do you send it to them? They just say yes? They secretly want to be valet wrestling managers?
No, each cast member has their own unique story on how we got them. I'll start with Walter Koenig of classic Star Trek. We knew him already because he was in our previous film, Neil Stryker and the Tyrant of Time. He played. We had this role of this Russian cadet. And in the movie, all of the young agents walk through a time vortex, and they all age 20 years. And we're like, wouldn't it be amazing if we can get Walter Koenig and get him to do his Russian accent for this movie? So we just reached out to his people, and we got him that way. And now that we had worked with him in that movie, he was our friend. So he was like, of course I'll do this movie. And Nick, do you want to talk about Paula?
So obviously Paula was the quest for Paula started in 2003. Actually, we had wrote her into an entirely different screenplay, or rather I did. And when I wrote her in, it was like at the end of this film, and then Paula Abdul climbs up on the house and starts singing Forever Your Girl. And Rob is like, what are you doing? Why are you writing the impossible for no reason at all? And I was like, Rob, if you don't write the impossible, it'll never become possible. And then cut to over almost 20 years later, I'm like, hey, Rob, I have an idea for the sort of the Raging Abe's wife character, the lovely Mary Todd. What if we asked Paula? And he just kind of laughed and said, go for it. And I was like, all right,
go get her, Nick.
Yeah. And so it was just a matter of like, reaching out to her representatives and having multiple sit downs with them and going over the script. And, she wasn't on board to start. I mean, she was like, listen, I like this script, but, she's like, I want my part to have, I'm quoting her words now, meaning and flair. So I was like, okay, done. I really hunkered myself up in a cabin for like a weekend, like rewrote her entire character to sort of make sure that it wasn't just some prop, right? It wasn't just some
more
cameo with Paula Abdul. No. I mean, like her part really actually made the story just better and stronger. And in fact, when we went back to the table with them, I was like, Paula, even if you say no to this, I just want to thank you for this exercise because the story is so much better because of this note. And she laughed and was like, I love it. Let's do it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. So that's Paula. And in fact, the way we got Eddie was connected to Paula because we were flying down to LA to shoot Paula and Walter. And the night before we're boarding the plane, I get a call from her management. And it's never a good sign when the management's like, hi, Nick, I've got this person all on the phone. And I'm like, yeah, what's up?
Why?
Why? Well, so Paula was like, this was during the pandemic. This was like October 2021. Like, so the vaccines were a new idea. And they were like, yeah, she was in the vector of this Shaquille O'Neal fundraiser. And yeah, she's of COVID. And they were like, she's out. It was, we can't, unfortunately. The union was just like, no. They need 5 days to do whatever. So we're like, oh, great. So we're about to board our plane and literally hours from now to shoot Walter, but then nothing on Monday. And we had all the gear,
hired. Yeah,
everything all lined up. And so I was like, can we shoot? Right, what do we have? What do we have at our disposal? Wi-Fi on this plane. So we switched it on, and I was just like, okay, what do we need? We got one scene that we were hoping to get a celebrity in. This character, this cartel kind of boss, and it was like, what do we need? Okay, we need a cartel, a warehouse. We need an airport,
just a warehouse,
and then a star. Oh, no problem. We can get this done on the plane.
Just a realistic looking airport.
And I gotta hand it to
in 24 hours.
Yeah, I gotta hand it to LA. If you want it, you can find it. And so we were able to get within like a couple hours, get a Mexican warehouse, an airport, not a real airport, but the one they shot Lost in.
It looks so legit. It's an amazing set.
Yeah, you would never know. And then some friends of mine hooked me up with an agent in New York who was like, all right, here's who we could probably get within this amount of time. Gave me this little laundry list, and I was like, oh my God, Eddie Griffin, Woody. And the guy was like, he's got a show that Monday night. Let me send him the script. Let me see if he likes it because you're asking a lot. And I was like, okay. And send him the script. And I don't think we even knew that he was like, okay, I'm going to do it until like 4 a.m. on Saturday morning. And I was like, okay, the yes is one thing, but are they going to show up? Because here we go. And by like 9 a.m. on Monday, I'm sitting at a Hollywood like armory, getting fake guns for this Mexican cartel warehouse. And I get the call. Eddie's on set. He's here. He knows all his lines. We're ready to go. And I'm like, Rob, we did it. We pulled this off.
I was gonna say, while you're talking, that was my question. Now that it's coming out, now that people can see it, and we're talking about Raging Midlife. We are able to see it. It's coming out. You can stream it. It's going to be in select theaters on the 13th. Can you believe that you did it? Like, you made this happen. Like, it's done all these years. You, Nick, Rob, you got it done. You made the movie.
It's a bit surreal because, yeah, I mean, we spent 4 years or 3 years shooting all these, like a lot of time sitting and doing VFX. Most of the VFX were done by Nick and myself, and then we hired out some other stuff on OfferUp, or not OfferUp, but whatever that website is where you get jobs. So it's hard to say that we did it because it is this breadth of this film. It's like, hey, I liked your movie. When people say that, I'm like, which part? Because this scene alone took a year, So for me, it's hard to like look back and be like, look what we did. It's like, yeah, each scene was a different adventure and a different accomplishment. But it's hard to know what that feeling is going to be like until Nick and I are sitting in that theater next to each other, huddled and cuddled, and as the lights go dark, and then we just get to hear everyone's reaction, and then we'll know how well we did.
Who do you think this is? I sometimes ask how can we support the film, but the way we could support the film is by watching it on demand or going to the theater and seeing it. Obviously, this is getting a release, so make sure that you check it out. It's going to be really fun, especially if you're nostalgic. You like I keep joking about Macho. I was obsessed with Macho Man Randy Savage as a kid. This guy is so. I googled him. I was obsessed that you even found him. That there's someone out there. Like the whole thing. who is this for? Like, are we just here to have a good time? Is this only for 80s people? Is this for everyone who's looking to laugh? Tell me.
There's you know what, there is something for everybody. Honestly, if even for people who are just like, God, if you can remember like the old John Hughes movies or just a film with like just a solid slapping soundtrack. I mean, you're gonna love this movie. We got some everything from like punk rock, British punk rock, all the way across the board to just pop music. From like Lisa Molinaro from Modest Mouse came aboard and did it was our composer. And she's actually releasing an album of the music on March 11th. But the comedy, the story. I mean, if you don't have any memory of actually going to the theater and having a blast, then this movie is for you, and you can have this experience for the first time. And if you remember going to the movies and watching The Hangover or watching Indiana Jones and like having a blast, then this movie is also for you, because it's just kind of an amalgam of all the kind of feels and squeals that we loved when we would go to the movies, and that's what we were trying to do. We weren't trying to save the planet, but we were trying to give them a little bit of joy in these dark times, especially during the pandemic, man, when we were like all just like
when I was talking to the director of photography, Eric Macy, I was like, watch Steven Spielberg movies from the 80s. That's the look I want. And then when we were getting the movie colored, or Ryan Graves, I was like, watch Steven Spielberg movies from the 80s. Watch Back to the Future. Watch these fun action adventure comedy movies, because that's what we're going for. We're just trying to make a movie that you can go and escape reality for an hour and a half and have a good time and have a few laughs.
Well, look, I was lucky enough that I got a sneak peek, and I have it queued up and ready to go this weekend. So in my house here in Michigan, we'll be watching this because we're both 80s babies in my home. So we'll be excited to check this out. And we're also film nuts. So we love all the things that you did. You know what I learned while listening to you? I don't know what the goal is. I don't know what the theme is. I don't know what at the end of this you want us to know. But what I learned by talking to you just for 20 minutes is that you both have a dream, you have an idea, and the audacity to go out there and make it happen. Because growing up where you grew up, you didn't grow up in LA, you didn't grow up in New York. You're two people who love movies, who sat down and wrote movies together and got them made. Like, that is a lesson for everybody, that you can make things happen.
We live in the woods, man. Look at this.
I thought there were only 4 people living in Oregon, and there's 2 of them here.
Yeah. Well, there's 12 of us now.
Oh, okay. So people are moving out of cities. I get it. I understand. So is that the lesson? What is the lesson you've learned as filmmakers about taking these dreams and making them become a reality?
I would, first of all, if I'm giving out any advice, I would definitely say, do it with a friend. You know what I mean? These things, I mean, to do it, I don't even know how people can go into art like this and try and just do it alone without a team. And
collaboration is key for success.
100%.
Yeah, because
attitude is everything, isn't it, Rob? Too.
Keeping it positive. Once vibes go dark, I'm like, come back up to the clouds, bud. Come back from the darkness. So we have to help each other out. If someone is getting discouraged, it's like we have
a rule on set.
Yeah.
It's if we're not having fun, we're not doing it. Okay.
Yeah. Then
and
why
if
are
you're
we
being
here?
grumpy, you gotta go away. Go be grumpy somewhere else. Because
if you're bringing the dark vibes, then we won't see you on the next day of shooting.
Yeah, but perseverance, obviously, it pays, and you just gotta take those risks. Pick up the phone, call Paula's people. The actors want to work, and if you got a cool story, I mean, that's. I mean, what was cool about Paula was like when we were done shooting, she was like, because we'd shot her, spoiler alert, kind of future self, and then she was like, we do see her in the 80s, and she's like, well, who's playing myself in the 80s? And Rob and I look at each other like, you are? And she's like, wait. I would love to. And I was like, but Paula, like, I don't know that we can afford your rate again. And she's like, what's the SAG minimum? And I'm like, this for this particular picture. And she's like, I'll take it. I was like, okay. And I'll fly myself up and I'll just get myself a hotel room. She was just so amped. And
by then she was devoted to the story and wanted it to come across good. And we were like, fuck yeah. We'd love to have you in the opening scene.
So because
Take the risk, I said.
You could ask. Hey, this whole show, 400 interviews last year all started from me just having an idea and it grows. And look, I'm offer only. So now that you're obsessed with me, I just want to let you know when you write into your next movie, I'm offer only. I listen to the tape. Just letting you know.
Understood.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Rob.
Good we know that now. Ahead of time.
I'm happy that I just wanted that out there before we continue our working relationship. I'm so obsessed with what you both are doing. I think what you're both doing is so great. I think that what the ideas that you have, the creativity, I hope that Hollywood and films make more fun, creative ideas and give us joy, because The Brutalist is fine, but I also would like to laugh once in a while.
They don't do comedies anymore. I can't remember the last theatrical comedy that came out besides ours. But if you like what we do, I mean, like, the best you can do is get the word out and support us because the next one's a musical. So, this one's for the people. This one's truly for the people.
Are you really writing a music? I was going to ask you, are you really writing a musical?
Oh yeah. Oh no. This thing is fleshed out beginning to end. I can't. Paul. Speaking of Paula Abdul, she was like, "What is the next one?" I was like, "I'm so glad you asked, Paula," because not only is it a musical about these theater kids trying to put on a theater show of like a film from the 80s, but turning it into a musical, so the townsfolk will actually help support their theater program. But then their drama teacher ends up being this 900-year-old vampire alien bent on eating the town, and the kids have to go down and kill it. And Paula was like, "Well, which part am I?" I'm like, "You're the 900-year-old vampire from outer space bent on eating the town." And she was like, "Does it have to be 900 years old?" I was like, "It's a vampire. You're fine. It'll be beautiful. You'll be beautiful forever."
Well, I'm obsessed. I love it. Broadway World family, Broadway Podcast Network family that you're watching. We better follow Rob and Nick so we stay up to date. And then you have to come back on the show and talk about it, because that's our niche here. That's what we do.
I love this. Gosh, Robert and I was even talking about, like, hey, what if we even made this a stage version first and throw it up on stage just to see, just to have some fun, breathe a little life into our city here, and then make the film. But yeah, I'm a big Broadway guy, by the way. So you couldn't tell with the jazz hands.
I love it. We could. I'm here for the whole thing.
There's a little musical number in this film, and I've demanded a musical number in every film that Rob and I have done. And sometimes he protests, but then he comes back to the fold and realizes,
"Come on, Rob, right. Get with the team, Rob. What's going on?"
When Nick says I protest, he's lying.
I believe that too.
No, he's like, "Can I do a musical?" And I was like, "Yes, write the song." And he wrote it. This is for the previous film, and I was like, "This is fucking fantastic. I can't wait to shoot this scene." And we got better. Like, I was like, "We need a Steadicam for this, because this is an epic moment."
And by the way, when you read the reviews on the last film, it's kind of a mixed bag. But everybody who hates the film, the previous one, always says, "But that musical number was really good."
If they don't get it, then it's not for them, because that's exactly what it is. Raging midlife. How raging is your midlife? That's a good question. As I'm 41, I'm going to ponder that this weekend.
Yeah.
Probably not as raging as it should be.
You're
looking at mine, man.
I better find Paula Abdul in a tank top and start going at it. And everybody, I think maybe I'll tell you after I see the movie. Congratulate. We'll be following. We'll be sharing. We'll be watching, and we're ready for the next one. And we're so grateful you spent time with us. Thanks for being here.
Wait, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Do you sing?
I sure do. My music is out on Spotify. Tidal, Roundtable. My albums are out. I toured in Rent. I'm ready. You want me to sing right now? I'm ready, Nick and Rob.
Wait a minute. Who were you in Rent?
Roger.
Of course you were.
Even though I have glasses, but I was Roger.
Oh, that's my God. Cool. Amazing.
Do I have to memorize
offers
lines?
On the table, baby.
I told you. See, I knew it would pay off to be offer only. I knew sometimes you got to take a risk.
Awesome. Robert, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you.